Hey guys, what's up? I'm Noah, this is Analog Resurgence, and today we're doing a little bit of a roll review, and I'm taking a look at 35mm color negative film Kodak Ektar. Kodak's color negative Ektar film is marketed as being the finest grained color negative film ever made or like currently made right now, and it's not a lie, the grain on this stuff does look really good. Ektar is also one of Kodak's more professional, like higher quality, more expensive films that they offer, outside of their more consumer 35mm films like Ultramax and Gold. Ektar is also available in 120 medium format rolls and also large format things like 4x5. But it's only available as a 100 ISO film. So it's a lower speed film, which also means that you do need more lighting to be able to get like some good shots on it without a tripod. Also, Ektar was introduced in 2008, but there was an earlier version of Ektar that came into existence around the end of the 1980s, and that Ektar was available in ISO 25, 100, 400, and 1000 ISO. But it was only around for like a little bit, and then it was discontinued at the end of the 90s, and it's different from like the modern Ektar. The modern Ektar was kind of re-engineered and rebuilt from like a new emulsion. I've also read a couple of places that Ektar was like designed for like a digital workflow, like it's optimized to go through a scanner and then like be edited digitally. So it's film for a digital era, I guess. Let's take a look at some shots. And of course, if you want to see like all the shots from all the rolls that I look at here on the roll reviews, you can find them over exclusively on the Patreon. You can head over there if you want to support the channel and also just like see more shots of this stuff, then that is in the description as well. So this stuff is only available in 100 ISO, and it is marketed as the finest grain color negative film available. This stuff does have a really nice fine grain to it. Like the grain is not really like a huge kind of characteristic of Ektar, I guess, because it's so fine. Like if you really want more of like a classic kind of like grainier look to your shots, then you can easily go with like a cheaper film like Color Plus or Gold. But Ektar has a fine grain, and it is intended for use with landscape shots a lot of the time, so using it for pictures of places and things instead of maybe taking pictures of people with it. Ektar's main characteristics, aside from like having fine grain, is that it has decent amount of contrast and also like a higher saturation for their colors. So especially when you're looking at Ektar shots, they have really rich reds, and the reds can kind of dominate shots though a little bit. Like you can kind of see it seep into different areas of the images. So I was shooting this stuff when there was still snow on the ground, which maybe is not like the best use for Ektar because it does like inject some of that red into what should just be white snow. But you can still get like really good looking colors on other things too. Like here we're seeing like a really nice bold blue sky to it. It definitely has more saturation and more contrast over Kodak's Portraiture. Portraiture is also one of Kodak's higher end like professional film stocks available as well. And I've looked at Portraiture 160 on the channel previously. Portraiture is designed with the intent of shooting like portraits and replicating skin tones, whereas Ektar is designed with the intent of shooting like landscapes and things. That doesn't necessarily mean that you can't take pictures of people with Ektar, but it does mean that it is kind of like giving you a specific look to like the skin tones when it's replicating them. And there is more contrast on Ektar than Portraiture 160. I mean, not everyone likes Portraiture 160 though, but Portraiture is more muted than Ektar when it comes to contrast here. Ektar only comes in ISO 100, so again, you do need like good decent light. Low ISO means lower light sensitivity. And I wouldn't necessarily say like stay away from shooting pictures of people with it, because again, there's like some shots on here that I do like. It does up the saturation and the reds are pretty prominent, and especially when you have like a decent amount of sunlight and like golden hour coming through, that's going to be even more amplified. But I do think I prefer some of these landscape shots over like the shots of people that I have on the roll. Films like Ektar and Portraiture are really, really divisive, and some people will like swear by Portraiture 160 or swear by Portraiture 400, and other people will just use Ektar like religiously and like have no problem with using it for portraits and like using it outside of its kind of like intended uses, I guess. I think I would say that if you're shooting on Ektar a lot, but you're also like editing your images down to a point where like you're removing a lot of like contrast and reds and like the inherent kind of characteristics of Ektar, then maybe like shooting on Ektar isn't super necessary, and you can try and play around more with Portraiture or something that has more like subdued reds and like lower contrast for color negative. You can go on like a cheaper end of shooting stuff as well, because Ektar is on like the more professional side of like Kodak's lineup of stocks. So if you're just looking for like a saturated, contrasty, color negative film to like put through your 35mm camera, then you can do things like Gold 200 or Ultramax 400 and Color Plus 200, and like the consumer grade stuff that is cheaper and isn't gonna have like the fine grain or necessarily like the color reproduction of Ektar, but it is like an alternative to just like choosing Ektar or Portraiture, just because like they are expensive and they have like a lot of reputation online, I guess. I don't know, I think that like consumer film just has like a good like value to it. And of course I shot this on just like the Canon AT1 here. I try not to use anything like super crazy or super high end for shooting the roll reviews, for especially for 35mm, because I'm just trying to aim it at like people who are, you know, picking up cameras for the first time. They're not necessarily using like super high end gear. This is just kind of like a general sense of what you might experience if you're shooting some of these film stocks. So my stance on Ektar 100 is that I wasn't necessarily like blown away or moved by like the images and like the characteristics and the look of it on 35mm necessarily, but I do think that it would have more value if you're shooting it maybe in medium format. So I would really, if I were revisiting Ektar, which I would like to do, I think I would try it out in 120 or even load it up into my Graflex in 4x5 sheets and just do like specifically like outdoors, like landscape or like bigger like scene shots. So thanks for checking this out, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. There's also links in the description again for Patreon if you want to see all the roll review images aside from just the stuff that I put in the videos. There's also the P.O. box address down below, and you can send along if you've got rare or expired or strange film that you want to see me do. I've got a bag of stuff that I'm hoping to dig into over the summer and do some user submitted roll reviews as well. There's also a link down below for Pro 8, which is a motion picture lab out in California. If you're more tied to like motion picture shooting and you're interested in like Super 8 and 16 and developing and resources and scanning for that stuff, then you can check them out. They're helping me out with some upcoming projects as well. That's really exciting, and I can't wait to like get into that stuff as well. So check out those links and that information in the description. Also information where to buy Ektar. I'll throw some links down there as well if you don't have like local resources. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys soon for more roll reviews and more other analog goodness.